plus sign is a universally recognized symbol for addition. In some specialized contexts, it can also denote positive numbers. Minus sign denotes the operation of subtracting two quantities. Can also symbolize negative numbers. Multiplication sign denoted by an X, dot, or asterisk denotes repeated addition. It is the opposite of division. It can also denote the Cartesian product. Division, often denoted by an obelisk, is repeated subtraction. It is the opposite of multiplication. Equal to denotes equality. Approximation, denoted by the approximation sign or tilde, denotes that two values are almost equal but are not exactly equal. Plus or minus can either be a plus or sign or minus sign. Can also be used in error margins. Minus sign is often used in synchronization in equations with the plus or minus sign. They cannot be the same sign in the equation. Percent symbol is used in probability. It also finds a certain percent of a number. Scientific notation is denoted by E. The E denotes a 10 and the number after the E denotes what power 10 is raised to. The number on the left multiplied by that power of 10 gets you the final answer on the other side. The square root is the inverse of squaring. It can also find the nth root of numbers. Full sum or uptack in logic denotes a full statement. Also denotes perpendicularity and orthogonality. Orthogonality is essentially when the cross product of two vectors is equal to 0. T in logic denotes a true statement. Vertical bars denotes the OR operation. It is only true when at least one operand is true. Ampersand is denoted by denotes the AND operation. Only is true when both operands are equal to 1 or are true. Exclamation point reverses the operand, denotes not operation. Universal quantifier denotes a predicate is true for all values in the set. Can also mark predicates as propositions. Existential quantifier denotes that a proposition is true for greater than or equal to one element in the set. Uniqueness quantifier denotes a proposition is true for only one element in the set. There does not exist as a shortcut for a negated existential quantifier. It denotes that a proposition does not apply to any element in a given set. Nabla quantifier is used for fresh names. It has applications in lambda calculus, pi calculus, and etc. Therefore denotes a conclusion. Because denotes the word because. Diamond denotes a proposition is possible in at least one possible world. Square shows that a proposition will be possible in all possible worlds. Implication denoted by arrow represents that something can be implied by looking at another thing. Unicode symbol U+2(1)D4 denotes biconditionality. It also means if and only if. Integral denotes the antiderivative. Can also find the area under a curve. Sigma is a summation of terms. The starting index is subscript and the stopping number is superscript. Data can denote an angle in geometry. also denotes the direction in polar coordinates. Rho denotes radius in polar and spherical coordinates, also represents density in cylindrical coordinates. Using graph theory to find the minimum amount of vertices removed to sever the graph or isolated to a single vertex. Delta denotes time dilation in regular time and dilated time. It also denotes changes in variables. Vector magnitude denotes vector magnitude, which is the magnitude of a vector. Direct sum or ZOR in logic is the combination of two vector spaces or modules. In logic, as ZOR denotes that exactly one operand has to be true. Tensor product can combine vector spaces and make matrices. Determinant of X is the determinant of a matrix, and it is defined by A multiplied by B minus B multiplied by C in a 2x2 matrix. Diag makes a vector into a matrix. All elements in the vector are placed along the main diagonal. Dagger makes the first row of the matrix become the first column. The same is repeated for all other rows. If it is a complex number, find a complex conjugate of each element. Conjugate is denoted by the superscript asterisk. Denotes the complex conjugate changes the sign. Addition becomes subtraction, and if it's multiplication, the number becomes negative. Vertical bars denotes the modulus. An absolute value denotes distance from zero. In complex numbers, it is squared y squared. Element in set indicates the element's membership in the set. Element not in set indicates the element doesn't have a membership in the set. It is the opposite of element in the set. Subset denotes that a set is a subset of another set because it has all elements in another set. Proper subset is if A is a subset of B and A does not equal B. Union is an idempotent set operation that joins all unique elements into one set. Intersection is an idempotent set operation that joins all common elements into one set. Backslash is all elements in set A that are not in set B. Apostrophe denotes the complement, which is the universal set which is all elements under consideration for a certain topic in another set. Multiset union under the additive union definition sums the multiplicities, which are essentially the appearances in each set are of an element in both sets. That sum is the amount of times that element appears in the new set. Script capital P denotes the power set, all subsets of a set. This will always include the empty set. Colon denotes a term is under type A. Turnstile denotes that A can be determined as a type A because of a list of assumptions about A. Join joins two tables together, often used in SQL. Shuffle product is used in shuffle algebra and it uses the binomial coefficient of the sequence length of U plus the sequence length of vertexes over U. Epsilon is the empty word with a length of 0. When shuffled with another length, there will only be one shuffle. Using shuffle algebra. Delta in this definition represents the coproduct. Splits a word into multiple parts. Mu denotes the population mean, not the sample mean. Alpha denotes a type 1 error, false positive. You think something is right, but it is actually wrong. Beta denotes type 2 error, false negative. You think something right is actually wrong. Gamma is a proposed symbol for a type 3 error, which is when you misdirect the correct result or correctly answer the wrong question. Colon, already mentioned different definition, denotes a ratio. Proportionality can denote proportionality in triangles and ratios. Per sign is uncommonly used but is typographically used for a shortcut to the word per. Blackboard typeface H can denote the set of quaternions, but it is more commonly used to indicate a hyperbolic plane of constant non-negative curvature. The superscript 2 denotes that it is 2D. Angle symbol represents an angle. Can also denote a defect in hyperbolic terms, where the angles of a triangle sum to less than 180. Capital Pi represents the angle of parallelism in hyperbolic planes, also used in repeated multiplication. Capital script P is useful for parametrizing elliptic curves. Modulo, often abbreviated to mod, is the remainder of division. Identical to is used in modular arithmetics. Hyperoperations are denoted by this symbol set. The subscript of the hyperoperation level. The A and B are numbers. Less than signifies one value has a lesser value than another value. Greater than signifies one value has a greater value than another value. Greater than or equal to signifies equivalent or a greater value. Much less than signifies a much lesser value. Much greater than signifies a much greater value. Greater than with question mark above signifies an unknown comparison that appears to be lesser than but is undetermined. Lesser than with greater than with question mark above signifies an unknown comparison that appears to be greater than but is undetermined. Tensor has already been mentioned, but this is a different definition. Used in linear logic, denotes that two items exist simultaneously and have to be utilized in collaboration. Due to turn the ampersand. Turn the ampersand is used in linear logic. Represents a multiplicative disjunction, which is essentially when you either have one item based on the context for both items, but utilized in a non-interfering way. Tropical addition is used in tropical geometry. The minimum of the two values. Also is idempotent. Tropical multiplication. Used in tropical geometry. The sum of two values. Trof F converts polynomials into the tropicalized form. When graphed, always makes a piecewise function linear. Also can be concave. Multiplication becomes addition, powers become multiplication, and any non-variable term stays the same. Tilde diaresis is used in APL to reverse arguments. Arrow has already been mentioned, but this is a different definition. Denotes a morphism, has a source and a target. Double vertical arrow is a common denotation of a tetration. While not official, it is the fifth level of the hyperoperations. It is proposed for the notation for tetration. The b is how much the exponent is exponentiated. Exclamation point, or factorial, multiplies the integer with all non-zero integers below it. It cannot be used for non-integer values. If it is a non-integer value, the gamma function would work instead.